Here we are, straight off the postman, a Tamiya Valentine tank, which will be 1/35 scale. So we'll be able to have a look at some of the attempts the British made at making a successful tank. And this is a kind of halfway house. It's almost quite good. So let's take the lid off. Oh, I should have done that beforehand. Or I should put the camera on a tripod. We've had this problem before. Here we go. Lots of polythene bags. Plenty of bits. There's a chap in a pair of shorts. Must be British. All that's better, isn't it? And look, moulded tracks. How about that? Unusual for Tamiya. And a few individual pieces. Yeah, maybe that'll work for a change. Transfers tiny. Just visible through the polythene. And as usual, 2 sets of instructions. Looks like a good model, doesn't it? Nice, friendly looking fellas. There we are. Let's get that one done as soon as possible. I was wrong. It's not 2 instruction sheets. It's some kind of information sheet. Focus from humble beginnings. How about that? And a rather nice diagram. That's good. So, we'll get on with it. First of all, there's the box lid, then there's the stuff inside, which by now I've painted. And I've largely done this with sort of spraying an undercoat of a basic kind of beige colour and then putting in various washes. Getting slightly darker with each wash. This has had about 3 washes. So here's all the kind of undercarriage virtually. Very, very complicated. Lesson there for the British over-engineers. The fewer the moving parts, the less there is to go wrong. There's the main parts. They do rock, and they do even if you're not bothered. So that's always a good sign in the world of modelling. Particularly as I'm not that bothered, I'll happily glue things up, but they all moved. Anyway, there's the chassis, or the lower part of the hull, upside down. Genius me, what a great way to start. And there we are with the these kind of rocking suspension units attached. Obviously there's a bit more painting to do. And then the wheels go on. And it all went together smoothly and very, very easy to do. It's one of those you could hardly stop yourself from doing it. Oops. Here's some bits. And here's the hull of the tank, which is interesting because, first of all these pieces, whoa, sit on there very nicely. And then you get that, and it's just a carriage, isn't it? So all the engine there, and then some people squeezed in that bit. Really weird. I noticed the same because I'm putting off doing the tracks on this Panzer 1, and look, I'm at this point, and you can look down into it. I mean, it's dark, but you just get the idea that this is a chamber with a couple of people inside. I haven't got that far yet. And again, just a carriage. Really interesting. And then people try and kill each other in them. Most peculiar. And then here we are with sort of the top part of the hull on, predominantly. A few bits to go. There we are. Put the hatches on either side. Really quite a strange arrangement there. And then the grills, vents, louvres, whatever, at the back. Once again, very complex. And then a moving part. Once again, it moves whether you want it to or not. If you're actively going to have to put some glue on that. And there it is coming together. It's a very good model, actually. There weren't many bits where I had to sort of force and clamp and that kind of thing, so it's good. So far. And then the turret. Bit of a Matilda turret, really, isn't it, on this? I've just popped the turret on, just to see how things are shaping up. And there it is. What's interesting now is that it looks like a scrapyard wreck. Absolutely chilling, really. It's a grim, empty thing. It's quite a sturdy looking little tank. So after that, we're putting on just the sort of extra bits and pieces. We've pretty much got the vehicle done. So the turret's coming together. I'm always mind blown by how small the guns are on British tanks, but anyway, that's for another day. And things like the handles going on. Lots and lots and lots of handles. That will really help the Germans climb on board. Anyway, there we go. Something to tie your baggage onto. Stowage. And haha, the dreaded tracks. As you can see, large stretches of the tracks, like that bit, are moulded. Hooray! Why they can't mould the curves, I don't know. And that being moulded, I've not ever seen a tank in real life with that bit I've just taken off so straight, so tense. They always tend to sag between the wheels, whether that's in motion, kind of thing you used to see as a kid, or whether in real life, or whether that's in tank museums. So gradually the parts are going on anyway, and that's a sort of steady progress, really, so that's good. Some big bits, the sand guards, I've forgotten the word. Every time I open my mouth I forget the words. Anyway, there we go. There they are on. It shows just how complicated this tank is. Not really talking about the model, I'm talking about the tank. And there you can see just some extra little bits, sort of mud guards. There's a word for them as well, isn't there? Anyway, they've got to go on. I don't know if you can hear me above the wind, but I'm making the most of the bright weather. But it is very windy, which is unfortunate. So this is probably going to blow away at some point, and I think that joke's worn thin. I don't live near a desert, so we're going to have to make do with this. And I've hidden myself in the shelter. I've got buildings behind me to break the wind up a little. But anyway, the paint's on. The paint is on. So all I've got to do now is get the markings on, and then put some weathering over them, and then we'll be there. So yeah, getting on. We're on the final leg of this, so we're down to the markings, and they're weird, aren't they? Little black strips, and they go around the mud guards, which I've weathered almost to oblivion. So I might as well paint them. I can do that and then put a little bit more weathering over the top. That's alright. And then you get the number 3, which I'm going to do, but I mean, more for me. What on earth made me think that was a good idea? Because it's got to go around all this stuff. It's a solution to the problem that you might see in the Panzerjäger tank thing. In fact, I've got it here. Getting markings over 3-dimensional surfaces. So, give it a go. And there's the markings on. Went okay, really, I suppose. Can't argue with that. So let's get it outside on a breezy day and have a look at it in the daylight. I kind of gone to town on the weathering a bit. I do imagine, and there are photographs that show, that things like desert environment is really quite detrimental to a tank. They're not really desert things, even with big tracks. Sand gets in everywhere, and obviously it has that kind of sandpaper effect. The other thing is it builds up in places, and it's hard to get that without really putting in, actually adding stuff with filler or something. So I'll leave that to another day. But anyway, there it is. And it's kind of come out the way I intended. It's matching the image I had in my head, so that's okay. That's good. Is the model good? Definitely. As I said earlier, not too many parts needed a bit of sort of force or re-sculpting, so that's a good sign. And then, is it a good tank? I'm not the biggest fan. Somebody ages ago on one of the tank films commented and said, this is the moment, a Valentine is the moment where Britain gets a grip on tank design. I suppose that's true, but it's still an awful lot of engineering to get a very small gun somewhere. And the thing is, this is the era, the early part of the Second World War, and before, is the era of over-engineering as far as tanks are concerned. There's so many shapes. This one in particular is so complex as a design. It's unbelievable. Which means you can't make them very fast. So the manufacturing process is thwarted by all of this mucking about. Anyway, interestingly, the Matilda came first, and I made a Matilda first. Oh look, there's a 1/72nd version of this by what used to be, I can't remember the name, ESCI, which I've dropped in. And where was I? I did make a Matilda, an Airfix 1/72nd, and it was so horrible I just put it to one side. Maybe I'll do a film of disasters. Talking of disasters, here comes one now. Yep, we all know you're there. Anyway, thanks for watching. Don't know what I'm going to do next. We'll see, won't we? It's fun though, isn't it?